Christian Bale was preparing for his role in American Psycho, dressing the part, hitting the gym, getting his teeth redone. There was just one problem. He didn't actually have the part. Leonardo DiCaprio did. What Went Wrong is a podcast dedicated to the idea that every movie is a miracle. Join Lizzie Bassett and Chris Winterbauer every other week as they unearth the chaos and humanity behind Hollywood's biggest flops and most shocking successes. They aren't here to dunk on your favorite films. They're here to celebrate movies. As the New York Times said, they're movie industry people who truly love films and the people who make them. Listen to What Went Wrong wherever you get your podcasts.
You've got a great idea for a small business, but you just can't get it off the ground. You want to be your own boss, set your own hours. Well, new year means new opportunities, and Shopify's got you covered to help get your venture off the ground. Shopify makes it easy to manage your growing business. You can get your store up and running easily with thousands of customizable templates. And they help with the details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard. Don't kick yourself next holiday season when your 2025 resolution list looks the same as it does today. Make it happen with Shopify. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/income.
These are violent criminals, so they're not going to go down easy.
ABC Tuesdays.
Let's get this done.
Do it! The Rookie is back.
We have 2 new rookies starting today.
Howdy.
Being a cop is stressful 24/7. Every year on the job is different.
And Training Day.
We have a serial killer at large.
Never ends.
We need an ambulance!
The Rookie. All new Tuesdays on ABC and stream on Hulu.
This week, we're exploring When in Rome's unforgettable 1988 hit, The Promise. What started as a top 20 new wave anthem recorded in a garden shed has grown into a timeless classic, thanks in part to its revival in Napoleon Dynamite. We explore the band's brief rise, their infamous breakup, and the messy legal battles that followed as former members fought over the rights to the name When in Rome. Along the way, we share our thoughts on the song's emotional pull, its surprising dance floor appeal, and the challenges the band faced navigating the late 80s music scene. Is When in Rome certified thunder or a total blunder? We're sorry, but we're just thinking of the right words to say.
I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right words to say. I know they don't sound the way I planned them to be. But if you wait around a while, I'll make you fall for me. I promise you I will. One hit is all you need to make the money guaranteed, and you can live off royalties forever. And it makes me wonder, is it just a wonder, or is it one hit thunder?
All right, Matt, we're here. This is one of those songs, once again, I can't believe it took us this long, but we are here to talk about When in Rome's The Promise. And the first thing I asked myself, because I'm definitely way far removed from when this song first came out, but at this point, I'm also pretty far removed from when Napoleon Dynamite came out, and I really question whether I knew this. I had to have heard the song before, but it was Napoleon Dynamite that really cemented it as being like, oh, this song's incredible. For you, did you know it before Napoleon Dynamite?
No, this was definitely discovered it in Napoleon Dynamite. Like, that was my introduction to the song. I'm going to give the listeners a heads up. This is a wild story that I think we're going to go through, because this is one of those bands that kind of was like a one-album wonder, or at least was for a very, very long time, depending on what you consider the real band.
They still are.
But it's this song, and I do get this song. There's 3 songs that I kind of all discovered from movies at the same time that kind of bleed together for me. And it's two of them are both in Napoleon Dynamite. It's this one and Alphaville, Forever Young.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of get mixed into my brain. And then the song, This Is the Day by The. Do you know that song?
Yeah, I know it to hear it. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
This is the day your life will surely change.
What's that? Is that in Napoleon Dynamite?
That I don't think is in Napoleon Dynamite. It just was. I think it's definitely in Empire Records, but it was in a ton of other random movies in like the late 2000s. Like it had like a weird resurgence in that same time that Napoleon Dynamite was popping off.
Gotcha.
This song rules though.
Oh,
like
yeah.
this song lyrically it's fun, but man, like if you can be in a car and this comes on and you don't sing the chorus at the top of your lungs, you're a stronger man than I, because this is like a song that demands that you yell that chorus along with it.
I thought you were going to say if you don't sing the riff.
I mean, that too. But yeah, that like, I'm sorry, I'm just like you have to go full volume on that. You don't softly sing along with that song.
The thing that I think makes it catchy is that it's almost borderline. I talk about this a lot with The Streets, where Mike Skinner will like force too many syllables into a line. It's almost like that, where what you would have naturally done if you were writing it would have been to be like one or two less syllables. But I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking of the right. I feel like there's like,
well, the best example is the last line of the chorus that, but if you wait around, I'll make you fall for me. Like,
yeah,
it's like there's a lot of words in that little part.
A lot of information, but that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it stand out. If they would have went with a more streamlined, syllabically melody, I don't think the song would have been as good.
And I think that it also captures, like, I think everybody's had that moment, right? Where you're like, so invested in a person, you really, really like this person, but you like can't think of the right words and you don't want to say the right thing, and you have that feeling of like, just wait, just give me some time, and I promise that you will fall in love with me. But like,
yeah,
like it's a very human story that the song is telling.
Yeah.
But this was started when a musician named Clive Farrington was looking for people to replace members of his Manchester group, Bew Leisure. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. And he found a man named Michael Floreal.
Floreal,
thank you.
Yeah.
And then later the two of them saw Andrew Mann, who was a beat poet, and asked him to join their band. And they recorded a couple demos, including a few with Andrew Mann's friend.
Yeah, Corinne
from Swing Out Sister.
Yeah.
As they were hunting for a record deal.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure when I was reading about this, they actually were jamming. Yeah, here it is. The song "The Promise" was written when they were jamming some songs in a small garden shed that they had converted into a studio in the backyard of Clive's dad's house. The space was so tight that they had to strap keyboards vertically to the walls.
Wow. Okay, I didn't see that detail, but I will say, because this is important to the story, because I was trying to decipher from the little bit of info on the internet that was available. Now, I watched some interviews with Clive Farrington and Andrew Mann that, of course, didn't include Michael, which we'll eventually get to that.
We'll get into that.
But so it was Michael Floreal, who was a keyboardist. He was playing around with some music that would eventually become the music to The Promise. But then Clive came in and started singing, and then Clive wrote the first verse and the chorus, and then Andrew Mann wrote the second verse. But Michael Floreal, who is kind of the estranged member, he said that he believed the lyrics were inspired by a breakup that Clive had gone through. So when we're deciding who had more or less to do with the creation of this song, it kind of seems like maybe Clive, being the one who the subject matter had happened to, and wrote the first verse and the chorus, and I can only assume the melody of the hook seems to be maybe the most important in the creation of this song.
Because like you said, that opening keyboard riff for sure is an earworm. It's catchy. It's definitely a hook. But this song wouldn't have been a top 20 hit if it was just an instrumental of that piano riff and the drum beat. You know what I mean? Like, it needed more.
I don't know who wrote that riff because I wrote didn't write an interview. I watched an interview on YouTube with these two guys. It was with that one guy who does a lot of videos. I think he has like 1 million subscribers, but he wears glasses. He's bald and wears a funny hat. He's like Rock Professor or something like that.
Oh, yeah. I know the guy you're talking about. Yes.
You know who I'm talking about. He does Zenny commercials all the time in his videos, I guess because he wears funny glasses. I think it was Clive was talking about like messing around with that. So he may have even written the keyboard. I think he did. He wrote that riff, the keyboard riff, because he was like, I'm not that good. This was just catchy. You know, he was like, I'm not that good of a keyboardist or whatever. So I don't know what Michael Florial was playing around with. Maybe he was playing around with the Lindrum. Maybe he was playing around with the overall vibe and the other guy. But it seems to me like what we're going to get to a divide in these guys where at one point there were two different When in Romes. There was When in Rome UK and When in Rome 2. And Michael Florial was out doing his thing. But I think Michael Florial may have had something to do with getting the song into Napoleon Dynamite, or he was at least the one who got the news about that first.
Well, yes and no, and we'll get into that. So the band was signed to Elektra Records, but unfortunately, a month after that, Elektra Records closed its London office, and the band, just battling with the time difference of the UK to the USA, was like, this is not going to work out for us. Like, they were, especially you're thinking this is pre-internet. Like what you're sending letters and phone calls. You got like maybe a 3-hour window for all of the business conversations. So instead, they ended up at a Virgin UK subsidiary called 10 Records, where they started working on their self-titled album. The producers kind of took a special interest immediately on this On the Promise that we're talking about. They heard the hit there, and they released it as a dance single to see how it would do, and it became really popular. It reached the top of the Billboard Dance Club playlist, and that's when Virgin Records was like, hey, 10 Records, our subsidiary, you're bringing that record up to us. We're going to put that one out, I think.
Let me say something real quick, though. It became a hit in dance clubs. I actually saw Clive and Andrew in the interview talking about this. They said that they were at a club and the DJ was like, knew that they were there, and he was like, we're going to drop the song in 5 minutes. We're going to play the song. And they were like, okay, I guess this is the first time they'd been in a club where they were going to play the song. And they said he played the song and the dance floor just cleared out. And they were and they were both like, which makes sense because they were both like, how do you dance to this song? It doesn't have a like dancey beat to it, right?
No, and I think that DJ fucked up. I think that DJ probably saw When in Rome and was like, oh, let me bump this up in the set list. Because I understand it as like, we've talked about this before, like the cool down track. Like it's getting to like clubs closing at 2. This is like one of the songs you start to put on at like 1:30, 1:45, where it's still fitting into the dance move, but you're like slowing down the pace to like get people ready to leave. You drop that thing at like 10 p.m. in the club, it is a nuclear bomb on the dance floor, I'm sure.
Yeah, you're saying it was a dance hit though.
But we've talked about this before. There was another song that we talked about that was like a huge dance chart song, and we couldn't figure out why. And then we read that it was like they considered it like the perfect like end of the night, like bring down the pace of people who've been going hard for like 6 hours, like a slow jam to like send them out.
Sure.
And I mean, it is a catchy song. If I heard this, I might not be able to go on the dance floor, but I'd be like sitting down, singing along. Like,
sure. I mean, I could see it being like a college radio, an indie hit or whatever.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's a great song, just not necessarily a club dance track to me.
No, and I don't think you're wrong. I would never, as someone who's DJ'd weddings and parties, I would never put this, especially in the middle of when the dance floor's filled. Like at a wedding, maybe during like the dinner or like somewhere where it's like people are seated, but you want to put on something that'll like get the idea of dancing going in their brain a little bit. But
it's funny
not once
too,
the floor's filled up.
It's funny too because their follow-up single, which only went to number 95 on the charts. Now, The Promise went to number 11, but the follow-up single called Heaven Knows only went to number 95. But that song sounds like early 90s club music to me. In fact, The Promise sounds very 80s new wave, okay?
It does.
But Heaven Knows sounds like early 90s, almost like Rick Astley style. Like, it's very different from The Promise. I don't mind it, but it is almost, to me, minus the voices, sounds like a completely different style and a completely different band.
It actually was shocking to me how late in the 80s this song actually was. Because, like, if you had asked me, I would have said, like, oh, this was like an 82, 83, like, peak of the synthesizer music. But, like, you know, this was on the chart. I mean, that song Heaven Knows was on the charts in 1990. Like, Bleach was out by Nirvana at that point. Like,
oh wow, it took that long?
Yeah, it said it peaked at 93 in 1990. So it was a much later. I mean, The Promise hit its peak at the end of 88. So,
right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense then.
About a year cycle there. Speaking of the charts, this is definitely going to be one of those Matt and Chris's slight age difference situations, because I was not familiar with almost any song that I looked at here. The song peaked at 11 on December 10th, 1988. It was in between Walk on Water by Eddie Money at 10.
You know that
and
song,
Desire
right?
by you. No, that's not an Eddie Money song. I know.
No. I'm thinking of the wrong song. No, it's Would You Believe in Me? You know it's true.
I mean, I'll check it out because I love Eddie Money. I just don't know this song.
That's a good song. Dude, it's so weird. There's like 2 or 3 songs. That Eddie Money Walk on Water song, it reminds me of Garbage Pail Kids. And the reason why is because when my parents would take me and I could get a pack of Garbage Pail Kids, I was so psyched. And I remember like times of going to the mall and like opening Garbage Pail Kids in the back of the car and that song playing. So it reminds me of opening a fresh pack of like Series 3 Garbage Pail Kids. Walk on Water by Eddie Money.
I thought you were going to say that because whenever your parents said you could get some Garbage Pail Kids, you felt like you were walking on water. And you started singing that song.
That too. That's true.
At number 12 was Desire by U2.
You know
which
that
is definitely,
song.
Yeah, I mean, I know because I listen to a lot of U2, but not a song I would think of as like a big U2.
Okay.
It's certainly not a song I would imagine as a number 12 hit for U2 in the grand scheme of their music.
Okay.
And then the top 5, I legitimately did not know any of these songs. So the top 5 were Giving You the Best I Got by Anita Baker.
Giving you the best that I got, baby. You don't know that song?
No, I Don't Want Your Love by Duran Duran.
Don't really know that one, yeah.
How Can I Fall by Breathe.
Well, do you know who Breathe is?
No.
So I thought we were going to be able to do a one-hit thunder about Breathe, but I guess not, since this How Can I Fall? I don't know this song, but Breathe sings Hands to Heaven. You don't know what Hands to Heaven is?
We've talked about this. Yes,
Tonight
we've talked about Hands to Heaven.
I need your sweet caress. Hold me in the darkness. The song it's one of those songs that you'll love this, that they're a religious band, so it sounds like it's like a passionate love song, but it's actually, when you read the lyrics, it's about God. It's Hands to Heaven, you know?
Well, then, you know, you can come on Christian Cringe and we can talk about Breathe.
Dude, please.
Hands to Heaven.
Please. I would love that.
Number 2, I mean, I'm familiar with these songs, but not this particular song. Baby I Love Your Way and the Freebird medley by Will to Power.
You don't know that? It's a reggae version of Baby I Love Your Way?
I mean, I know Big Mountain did Baby I Love Your Way.
Yeah, this is just another version of it. Yeah.
Okay, it's just another reggae version of.
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't know that there was such a demand for multiple reggae versions of Baby I Love Your Way.
We need as many reggae versions of Baby I Love Your Way as possible.
And number 1, again, like, I know Chicago. This is the fact that this was a number one Chicago hit, and I really don't think I know it as crazy as Look Away by Chicago.
Dude, look away, baby, look away. You don't know this song?
I know that See Me This Way part.
Yeah.
It was funny. We were talking about Chicago the other night, but what we had said was like, and I think you'll agree with me on this, it's crazy how the Chicago 80s output feels dated, and specifically from the 80s, and their 60s and 70s output still feels kind of timeless. Like,
well, that happens to a lot of bands.
Yeah, like I'm just like, man, like when I listen to like Saturday, well, maybe not Saturday in Park, but like 25 or 6 to 4, does anybody really know what time it is? It's like I could still feel like this song could pop off now, but like it's hard to say I'm sorry feels so definitively like a 1988 song to me.
Hold on a second. I love Does Anybody Really Know What Time It Is, but you think that could come out now?
I bet Bruno Mars could make it happen. Give Bruno Mars that song, he could make it a number one hit again.
That would be cool.
The Apple Watch Series 10 is here. It has the biggest display ever. It's also the thinnest Apple Watch ever, making it even more comfortable on your wrist, whether you're running, swimming, or sleeping. And it's the fastest charging Apple Watch, getting you 8 hours of charge in just 15 minutes. The Apple Watch Series 10. Available for the first time in glossy jet black aluminum. Compared to previous generations, iPhone XS or later required. Charge time and actual results will vary.
The NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. 21 plus in present and select states. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Hi, friends. The world got you down. Don't be sad. Listen to $2 Late Fee with Zach and Dustin.
$2 Late Fee is the podcast that celebrates the best decade of entertainment, the 1980s. We pick a movie and soundtrack from our youth that we loved and see if it holds up today. We also interview your favorite celebrities from that era.
All in the spirit of positivity and togetherness. Check us out at $2latefee.com.
It's important that we talk about the rest of the top 10, and you'll see why in a little bit. Number 6 was Every Rose Has Its Thorn from Poison.
Hell yeah.
Of course, you know that. Number 7, former One Hit Thunder episode, Waiting for a Star to Fall from Boy Meets Girl.
Yeah.
Number 8, My Prerogative from Bobby Brown.
Hell yeah.
And number 9 was Welcome to the Jungle from Guns N' Roses. We are all over the place with this top 10. We got Guns N' Roses, Anita Baker, Duran Duran, Breathe, Chicago, Bobby Brown. Like, it is, and The Promise is right there at number 11.
In the middle. Yeah.
And just right there with all these songs. And there's a reason why I wanted to say the rest of those. We'll talk about. Hey, Matt, also at this time, Kokomo was popular. It was number 23. Smooth Criminal was on the way up for Michael Jackson. Put a Little Love in Your Heart, which you might know from Scrooged.
Yeah, the Scrooged version by Annie Lennox and what's
Al
his
Green.
face?
Al Green. Two Hearts from Phil Collins was at number 17 at this time. So there was a lot of diversity there, a diversity of style in the charts at that moment, which you'll see in like the mid 2000s, there was like no diversity of style in the charts. So it's cool to see stuff like this. And we were getting into a little bit of the kind of split among the band.
It happened shortly after Heaven Knows.
Okay.
Heaven Knows comes out, and it's around that time that I keep wanting to say Floreal. I don't think that's how
Michael Floreal.
Floreal fires the other two guys in the band.
Wait a second. That's how it happened?
That's what it says here, that he fired Farrington and Mann over creative differences, and when in Rome, promptly disband it.
How does one guy fire the other two guys?
I have no clue.
I read the opposite. I read those two guys fired him.
Well, I guess it depends on where your source is. Yeah. Wikipedia is clearly being edited by Team Florial.
That is so funny. That'd be like me being a Punchline, be like, I'm firing all you guys. I'm Punchline now.
I can do this better. Well, you know what, though? I know what we're talking about next week. And, I mean, they had a similar situation, right? Like, the band that we talk about next week, every member quit the band in order to fire the lead singer because they didn't want to deal with them. So maybe it was something like that. Maybe both of those dudes quit when in Rome because they were sick of dealing with him, and he just told everybody, "Nah, I fired those motherfuckers."
We're not sure exactly how it all went down, but I know I watched a lot of interviews with the two who are still together, Clive and Andrew, and they seem so cool and so down to earth, and I really like those guys. And I saw no interviews with Michael Florial, and Michael Florial was not. The other two guys are the guys singing.
That's what I was going to say. So what ends up happening at this point? The band breaks up. Florial moves to the United States, and he composes music for film and television. Mm-hmm. And in 2003, tensions arise when The Promise is used in Napoleon Dynamite, and I'm assuming that Florial probably had something to do with the soundtrack for Napoleon Dynamite because he was composing music for films and TV. He made the claim that he solely owned the rights to the song, causing the other two guys to not receive royalties for the song's appearance in Napoleon Dynamite.
Well, what I read about it was that Florial made sole claim to the song, but meaning like, all three of them still received equal royalties. It was like basically like Florial was trying to act like it was all him, but in actuality,
I thought he had screwed them out of the royalties for that movie.
No, I don't think so. But
okay,
yeah.
Sorry, there's so many lawsuits flying in this one. I just figured this was another one of the many. But this, I think that the timeline makes sense here, though, right? 2003, The Promise blows up because 2003 is when Napoleon Dynamite is playing festivals, gets acquired by MTV for a national release in 2004. Now, 2006, Florial decides to renew the band, probably based on the fact that a bunch of people have just discovered this song for a new time. And he gets a vocalist and guitarist, and they perform under When in Rome 2.
Yeah.
And the band primarily played in the United States and South America on various like 80s revival tours. But that's when Clive and Andrew reform in 2009 under the name When in Rome UK.
Yeah.
Florial then trademarks the name When in Rome in 2010. And while like Clive and Andrew apparently tried to challenge that, they were unsuccessful. And it says here that according to a Polestar article in May of 2021, the U.S. trademark had acknowledged that in order to comply with their legal claim, the UK members must be billed as Clive Farrington and Andrew Mann, formerly of When in Rome, for any U.S. gigs.
Okay. Michael Florial, let's give him credit if he had, wrote some of the backing track of the song, okay? And maybe, we don't know for sure, we're just guessing because he worked in television and film, maybe he had something to do with getting the song on the Napoleon Dynamite soundtrack, saw some dollar signs and did whatever he could to like play and make some money, even though he had neither of the guys who wrote the melodies and sang the song playing with him, and then got mad at them for wanting to do that. And also in recent, like they do things, they did one in Pittsburgh recently, actually, where they show Napoleon Dynamite and John Heder, how do you pronounce it? John Heder was there hosting it or whatever. Clive got up and sang the song at one of those. Like they go and get involved in those things. I don't know, man. I think Clive and Andrew are When in Rome, and this.
No, I agree.
This Michael Florial, I mean, I'd love to hear his side of the story if I could find it anywhere. And it just seems like he saw dollar signs, and props to him if he got the song in Napoleon Dynamite, because that did give it a big boost, and he's making his 1/3 of the royalties on the song. No one of these three guys I saw anywhere is denying the equal partnership in writing the song, which I think is cool, regardless of any lawsuits. And I also love it that this song starts playing in Napoleon Dynamite at the end of the movie, right after Napoleon says to Deb, "I caught you a delicious bass." I still think Napoleon Dynamite is one of the funniest movies ever.
Oh, it's one of those movies where there was a period of time where people were quoting it so much that it kind of got old for me.
Yeah.
But now that has passed, I've like put it on in the last like 3 or 4 years, and it is still like I've said this before, one of the funniest moments in any movie I think I've ever seen, and it has almost no dialogue, is just the shot of Kip trying to show how strong the Tupperware is by putting it under the tire of the car and then backing up, and it explodes, and he just immediately peels away.
I think I just want to be in the room or whatever when the writer or writers of this movie came up with the part where Napoleon calls home because he needs chapstick, and Kip doesn't want to bring him his chapstick, and he says, "But my lips hurt real bad." I don't know why that makes me laugh so hard. Make yourself a quesadilla makes me laugh really hard. There's so much stuff about this movie I think is so funny.
I mean,
I
still
think it will
say
always be funny.
Yeah, I'll still say, like, I bet you I could throw this football over that mountain. Like, it's such an insane thing to brag about. Like, just this impossible thing that you think you can do. But yes, When in Rome is fractured. And I'm going to say the only reason why I think, beyond the connection to television and film, beyond that, the other reason why I feel like he may have had something tied to Napoleon Dynamite. I just checked the wiki for Napoleon Dynamite, and I didn't see his name anywhere in the music or composing. But the budget for Napoleon Dynamite was $400,000.
Wow.
And I think that this song had always been in the movie. I know that like the White Stripes song was after they got acquired. They did some reshoots. Like the opening credits scene of all the food with the names was new. They added that on before the theatric release. But like, I think that one of the reasons why they were able to get this into a $400,000 song is that even if he didn't directly work on it, maybe the guy who did do the music had some relationship with him and hit him up and was like, "Hey, can we use your song in the movie?" And he maybe was like, "Sure, right. I'm the sole rights owner of that song. Go for it." Not expecting it to be a huge hit.
Yeah, it'd be funny if Michael was like, "Sure, just give me $5,000. Just write me a check, Michael Florial. I own that song," not thinking that this. Which, yeah, who would have thought Napoleon Dynamite, a $400,000? I didn't actually know that stat. They made this.
Oh yeah,
wow,
$400,000.
That's insane.
Yeah, and wait, hold on. Let me see what it. Let me go back to that page real quick.
It has to make $100 million at least.
It made $46 million, but still, $46 million on a $400,000 budget is.
I mean, that's 100 times. They made 100 times its budget, and that doesn't even count all the merchandise and all the stuff like that. I mean, that's probably just box office. That is crazy. And also, I did watch. It's Professor of Rock. I want to give him credit. I watched an interview with the two guys, Clive and Andrew, and they shouted out everybody who covered it. Blue October, Newfound Glory, Anne Berlin. I guess Sturgill Simpson did a cover of it that was used in that HBO show, The Leftovers. And it was actually Grammy nominated. They were like, it got nominated for a Grammy because Sturgill Simpson covered it in The Leftovers. I think these guys seem cool. I'm right now trying to get them on Krista Makes a Podcast. Sorry, Michael Florial.
It would be good. Well, I mean, I guess I don't know if you have trivia for me, but here's a trivia question for you, Chris. If When in Rome 2 was playing in Pittsburgh featuring just the keyboard player from the original band, but a couple weeks later, Clive and Andrew, formerly of When in Rome, was also playing a gig, like, you're gonna go to hear the guys sing the song, not the former guitarist of Enough's Enough singing it while the original keyboard player plays it. Like,
no, I'm going to see the two guys who literally wrote the lyrics and the melodies and sing it together. I'm gonna go see them play it.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like this.
Yeah,
it's like when I always find it hilarious when there's like a band that has like almost no original members left, or like the lone original member is like the drummer or the bassist. Well, it's like, is this even the band anymore? Like,
don't get me wrong. I'm sure that Michael Florial and the guy from Enough's Enough do a great cover of The Promise, but I don't want to go pay money to see that. Matt, I actually do have one little game before we go if you want to play it.
All right, let's do it.
You have that top 10 in front of you from December 10th, 1988? You don't.
I have the top 5. I have that in my notes, but that's it.
Number 6 is Every Rose Has Its Thorn from Poison.
Okay.
Number 7's Waiting for a Star to Fall from Boy Meets Girl. Number 8 was My Prerogative from Bobby Brown. 9 was Welcome to the Jungle from Guns N' Roses. And 10 was Walk on Water from Eddie Money. And
the anthem.
I was going to read you a lyric.
Garbage Pail Kids.
Yes, right. I was going to read you a lyric, and you got to tell me what song from that top 10 that this lyric is from.
Okay, I like this.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
You got 6 of them, so you got a 1 in 10 chance on every one of these.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm in.
Do you have the top 10 in front of you?
I don't, but I've got it locked in.
All right. The scales are sometimes unbalanced, and you bear the weight of all that has to be. I hope you see that you can lean on me, and together we can calm the stormy seas.
The 2 songs I feel most confident lyrically are Every Rose Has Its Thorns and Welcome to the Jungle. And that doesn't sound like either one of those songs. I'm gonna calm the stormy seas. I'm gonna say that leads right into the chorus of Walk on Water by Eddie Money.
You would think so. That's actually a pretty good guess, but no, it was actually Giving You the Best That I Got, Baby. That would be Anita Baker. Sorry.
Okay.
0 for 1. How about this one? When you called me up this morning, told me about the new love you found, I said I'm happy for you. I'm really happy for you. Found someone else, I guess I won't be coming round. I guess it's over, baby. It's really over, baby. Whoa.
I think that's Every Rose Has Its Thorns, right?
That is incorrect.
No! Okay.
That is actually Look Away from Chicago.
Damn.
0 for 2. You ready?
Yeah.
I hear your name whispered on the wind. It's a sound that makes me cry. I hear a song blow again and again through my mind, and I don't know why. I wish I didn't feel so strong about you, like happiness and love revolve around you.
That sounds really Jesus-y, so I'm going to go with How Can I Fall by Breathe.
That is wrong, Matt. That is actually, well, I believe we went through these lyrics before. That's Waiting for a Star to Fall from Boy Meets Girl.
God damn it. Okay. This is the worst round of trivia I've ever done.
How about this?
Here we go.
You have a 1 in 10 chance in every one of these. And plus 3 have been eliminated now.
Yeah, 3 have been eliminated. I'm feeling better about my chances.
You better get this one. What is this, a blizzard that I can't have money in my pocket and people not talk about me? This world is a trip. I don't know what's going on these days. Got this person over here talking about me. This person. Matt's bent over laughing.
Because there's no way to calmly read the lyrics to My Prerogative by Bobby Brown and it not be obvious that it's Bobby Brown.
Could you imagine Chris DeMakes reading this to Bobby Brown? What is this, a blizzard that I can't have money in my pocket and people not talk about me? This world is a trip. I don't know what's going on these days. Got this person over here talking about me? This person? Okay, you got one. How about this one? Well, I'm no angel. Now, I'll admit. I made a few bad moves I should regret. I hurt you once, or so you said. Just one more chance is all you get.
All right. That's very familiar to me. So I'm going to say that this time I feel a little bit more confident that's Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
Actually, that's the sound of GPKs. That would be Walk on Water.
Oh, God damn it.
All right, you got one more.
Fuck.
I listened to her favorite song playing on the radio. Hear the DJ say loves the game of easy come and easy go. But I wonder, does he know? Has he ever felt like this?
Is that I Don't Want Your Love by Duran Duran?
No, that's Every Rose Has Its Thorn.
God damn it.
Damn, rough one for Matt. Sorry,
that was
Matt.
not a good round. Chris, where are we going with When in Rome?
This is hard.
This is a really tough one, actually.
This is hard because I think The Promise is incredible. And they only put out one album, and the other song is nothing. The other single from the album is kind of nothing like The Promise.
Yeah. I'm going to make a prediction right now. And I know that it's early. This is our 3rd episode of the year, which shout out to the Patreon. Patreon was the people who voted for this particular episode for us. But my prediction, because I'm going to give this blunder for the band When in Rome.
Okay.
My prediction is that The Promise will be the highest ranked blunder on our end of the year ranking. I think that this song has all the potential. The song The Promise has all the potential to be top 5 or even the number 1 song of the year. But for the band When in Rome, listening to the record, listening to the constant squabbling and fighting over who is in fact When in Rome, all of that stuff is just hardcore blunder material to me. So I mean, they wrote an unbelievable song, and they should be very proud of the unbelievable song that they wrote. But the rest of the music wasn't there, and the infighting just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So I'm going blunder with this.
We're going to certify this one a blunder because I would agree. The song is incredible. Every interview I see with Clive and Andrew, I love the guys, and I think they're talented. I just wish they would have made more music. They made one album and they were done. And like you said, then it was the rise in the early 2000s, thanks to Napoleon Dynamite, kind of gave the song a second life. And then it was reforming after that and stuff. It was kind of like it had long been in the past at that point, and it brought them back. And I can't fault them. I'm sure they went on to do other cool things in life. I couldn't really find much info on that. Hopefully I can get them on Demakes so we can find out what they did after that. But how can you say, how can you go anywhere other than blunder? I'm not going Hinder or Greenwood on this.
They're not a Hinder or Greenwood at all, but they are a blunder.
Yeah, blunder. Sorry, When in Rome. Love your song, but we needed a little more.
This has been One Hit Thunder. One Hit Thunder is hosted by Chris Fafalios of the band Punchline and produced by Matt Kelly of Geekscape.net. Underneath me, you're hearing Greatest Party Ever off the Punchline album Delightfully Pleased. Visit punchlinemusic.com for any upcoming news on the band. Our podcast is on Patreon, so find us at patreon.com/OHT podcast for early access to episodes, bonus conversations, and a chance to vote on future songs for us to cover. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to us on your favorite podcasting app, and tune in next week for more One Hit Thunder.
I've been cleaning and dusting and cooking all day. I've got a fridge full of
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.
Imagine a world-class graduate education that's accessible, flexible, and designed for career impact. That's Harvard Extension School. Build actionable knowledge and skills in challenging online classes taught by Harvard faculty and industry experts. Explore new opportunities and expand your network with high-achieving professionals from around the world. Part-time learning. Real-world impact. This is Harvard on your terms. Learn more at extension.harvard.edu/Spotify.
Every listener to Too Much Effing Perspective knows that my co-host Alan Keller is a music nerd. and right up there in his pantheon with the Beatles and Elvis Costello is The Clash. So Alan, it's one thing for you to be a nerd, but how did you rope in a cool guy, 311's Nick Hexum, into a full-on Clash geek fest on our show?
Well, first of all, Alex, it was your idea.
Oh, right.
Second, Nick actually jammed with The Clash's Joe Strummer in a supergroup that included Flea and Tom Morello.
Okay, well, there is that.
And finally, one member of The Clash cited This Is Spinal Tap, the reason our show even exists, as his favorite movie.
Which one?
Hey, if you want to find out, you got to listen to Too Much Effing Perspective. That's Too Much EFFING Perspective. The only podcast you crank up to 11.
Bowie, Dylan, Marley. You've heard the names and maybe you've heard their songs, but what about the stories behind the records that made titans of music like these so universally loved and important? Join me, Josh Adam Myers, host of The 500, as each week I go through a different album from Rolling Stone magazine's 500 Greatest Albums list from 2012 with an incredible lineup of comedians, actors, and musicians talking about how the music has impacted their lives. New episodes of The 500 come out every Wednesday. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.